How you doing, everyone? Welcome back. I don't know how well you can see him, but this right here. Yeah. This is my buddy George right here. Yeah. George, he's kind of camera shy. He wants to hang out on my lap here. But you know what? I didn't start this video to talk about George. I mean, he's a great cat, though. I know, it's been about a week since I've put anything up, and I apologize for the lack of content. Things have been pretty hectic out there. So, Zoran Mamdani, the Democratic nominee for New York City mayor. Yeah, apparently a lot of people are not happy that he won his party's nomination. You know, because, well, first of all, he beat Andrew Cuomo. Oh, no. Not Andrew Cuomo. You know, the guy who had a hostile work environment for female employees. You know, females within his gubernatorial administration. You know, the sexual harasser. I don't remember if he was also, I believe he was also a sexual assaulter. And then, of course, there's Eric Adams, the current mayor, who, you know, also accused of sexual harassment, sexual assault, hostile work environment. Not to mention, he's been indicted on federal charges. Cat here floating around here trying to, tends to happen when you have cats, right? Indicted on federal charges, so, you know, there's that. And then, you know, both of those guys are running as independents now, Cuomo and Adams. And then you have the Republican Curtis Sliwa. Now, if you're not familiar with Sliwa, have you ever heard of the Guardian Angels? He's the founder. Basically, they were an unarmed, well, they still exist. They came about in the 1970s. I want to say 79. Late 70s is when they came about. And basically, they were an unarmed, kind of vigilante, but not exactly, group that patrolled the streets of New York, because at the time there was just an obscene crime rate in New York, and they patrolled the streets and the subways. You know, the idea was to clean up some of the crime. And in some ways they were successful, and in other ways, well, it turns out they staged some of the high publicity events in order to draw attention to the organization and what they were doing. I don't know that staging certain situations is the right way to go about that. I mean, Guardian Angels overall, not such a bad thing, but Curtis Sliwa, not necessarily a good guy, right? I think he was a good guy at one point in time, and then, I don't know, just kind of notoriety got to him, you know? So, oh, George is going to go away. So, anyway, I didn't come to talk about, you know, just the New York race in general, for the campaign in general for mayor of New York, because, quite frankly, I don't live in New York. Don't live in New York. Don't live in the state of New York. Don't live in the city of New York. I live in Iowa, so what do I care, right? It's not that I don't care, but it's that I'm more focused on what's happening here in my own state and in my own town. But some people have lost their minds that Zoran Mamdani won the Democratic nomination. I mean, some people are calling on his citizenship to be revoked so that he can be deported. They want his, because Mamdani, he is a U.S. citizen. He's also an immigrant, who has been naturalized, right? So he is a Muslim immigrant who calls himself a democratic socialist. He embraces that label, right? So he's pretty much in the vein of a Bernie Sanders. And, of course, the moneyed interests in New York do not like this guy. Gee, who'd have thunk it, right? Who'd have thunk it? So of course, people with power and money are trying to prevent him from becoming mayor. They actually tried to prevent him from becoming the nominee. They put all their money behind Cuomo. And now Cuomo was still running, because, why not? I mean, you've already been rejected by the Democrats. So now you want to be accepted by the city at large, despite the fact that, you've already been thrown out of the governor's mansion, right? So you're too much of a sleazeball to be governor. But, being mayor of New York City is, and keep in mind, I don't know a ton about New York City. I've never been there. I would like to go at some point. Don't want to stay for long, though. Nothing against New York or your city. I'm just not a city person, right? So, no disrespect to anybody in New York. Actually, the state of New York. I've been to the state of New York, but never the city. State of New York is beautiful. But I got sidetracked now, didn't I? Mamdani. People are flipping out. They talking about what a travesty it is that he won the nomination. Yeah, such a travesty that, there was an election and somebody won. And it's not who you wanted, right? Well, guess what? If I had a nickel for every time the candidate that I supported for president won the presidency, I'd have 10 cents. Yeah, and I've been voting in presidential elections since 1996. So, do the math on that. Only twice has my guy won, right? It happens. So anyway, you don't like the guy. All right, fine, don't vote for him. Other people did like him. So they voted for him, right? And he's the nominee, like it or not. They're acting like he's already the mayor, right? And in all honesty, he is likely to become the next mayor. Do we know that he will? No, not yet. And we won't know until whenever that election is. I want to say September is when that election is, but I'm not 100% sure on that. If you know New York politics better than I do, let me know. Right? It's just that I do remember that in 2001, after 9/11, that actually I think was 9/11 election day, or I don't remember, but I know that it was in September that year because 9/11 postponed the election. So, again, if you know New York City politics better than I do, leave me a comment. Let me know, all right? Because I'm not going to pretend to know what I don't know. I'm just basing this off of my memory of 24 years ago. 24 years ago, I was not old like I am now. So, a lot has happened in 24 years. But anyway, yeah, flipping out because, of course, all the big Wall Street types hate this guy. Gee, go figure. I mean, all the Wall Street types would hate most people on the left, don't they? And of course, right-wingers, coast to coast are flipping out about it. You've got, Ben Shapiro, you've got Charlie Kirk weighing in, you've got that nutbag preacher out of Tennessee, what's his name? Greg Locke. Yeah. That dude's a friggin' nutcase, isn't he? And if you're not familiar with him, I'm happy for you because I don't want to be familiar with him. Dude's nuts. He is outright nuts. But yeah, they're talking about how, Sharia law is going to come in and he's going to cause another 9/11, that he's going to stage another 9/11 or something to that effect. It's like, really? Come on, man. Come on. Stop the fear-mongering, right? What, because he's a Muslim? I tell you what. I've been to the Middle East. I've been to Iraq. Been to Afghanistan. Yeah, there are Muslims everywhere. And yes, the enemy, that was the religion they practiced. But guess what? Muslims, generally speaking, even over there, they just want to go about their lives. Go about their day, and worship the way they want to worship. I mean, there are some people saying that, there's going to be the Muslim call to prayer. What is it, 5 times a day? Again, if you're more familiar with Islam than I am, please comment below. Let me know. I believe it's 5 times a day. But yeah, that's going to blare through New York. And yeah, whatever. I mean, in principle, is it any different from church bells? In principle? No, not really. I mean, mosques already do that. It doesn't have to be sanctioned by the city, does it? Mosques already do it. Separation of church and state allows that. Now, granted, there's probably some noise ordinance, but, well, maybe not in New York, but who knows. Anyway, people have lost their ever-loving minds over a guy who, natural-born American? No. But that's okay. He's a citizen. And they're losing their minds over the fact that he could very well be the next mayor. You know what? If you're going to be concerned about anything, my biggest concern with this guy is how young he is. 33. Is that enough life experience to hold that job? I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe he'll be fantastic. Don't know. I guess time will tell. But again, I'm not in New York, so I don't care as much about those who care as much about that election as those that it will directly impact. Anyway, I'll catch you next time.